This picture was taken a little south of Fort Scott in 2021. This was my second picture of this project. I set out, in middle of June, basically the beginning of my summer vacation. I went to go see the Gordon Parks Museum at Fort Scott Community College. That was really cool. I also have a friend that is a former journalism advisor, Emily Smith, lives near Pittsburgh. So that was fun to see her. But, I actually went to see Gordon Parks's grave that day, and this picture sort of makes me think of the title of his book, The Learning Tree. This picture was taken in Mantor, Kansas, and was the last picture of about 8 I took in late December of 2023. It was incredibly windy, and probably I shot this a little faster of a shutter speed than my meter was telling me I should, just because I didn't want to have vibrations. But really grueling day in the car, as I remember, but was glad to get a photo that I liked from that trip. I think this photo might be a little unusual compared to the rest of the pictures I've taken, just because most of the pictures I take are perpendicular to the border. This sort of is parallel. That's Nebraska on the left and then Kansas on the right. There's something about the dip in that road that I found very appealing. The road, I will say, was not, despite it being about 100 degrees that day, it was not a hard packed road. It was very silty, very soft, very crumbly. So, anyway, this was my most recent trip in August of 2025. This is Kansas City, Kansas, April of 2024. I would say, probably without a doubt, the most visually different from the rest of the pictures. I'm underneath I 70. My favorite thing about this image is that if you zoom in, you can see a sign that says State Line Road. So I really like that about this picture. Of all the interactions I've had with people while photographing for this project, this scene stands out the most. This is Opolis, Kansas, and it's southeast of Pittsburgh. And, I'm looking through my camera and I hear a truck coming and it slows down to, a crawl. And I look out from under the dark cloth and a man says, "Well, at least you could have waited until I cut the grass for you to take a picture." Anyway, nice guy. He is the one who said that it is known as the metropolis of Opolis. I also like that there are 3 birds up in the tree. This is up in north central Kansas on the Nebraska border. It was after I had been teaching at a workshop for a few days in Manhattan, Kansas. So this might be the latest picture I've ever taken in terms of time of day. It was, I think, 7:30 or maybe even 8 o'clock. It was cloudy, and so it was really starting to get dark. And this picture is notable for having probably the slowest shutter speed. I think I had to go down to an eighth of a second. And it's also notable because I think it's the only one, there might be another one, but this is the one that comes to mind that has the Kansas sign featured somewhat prominently. I use Google Street View a lot for this project, and like the previous picture of the house, I was able to find this. This was December of 2024, and eastern edge of Kansas. Really cool that there's a cemetery that actually says State Line. And also, this was the first trip that I, took extra cameras along and started doing video documenting the Kansas border project. This photo was taken in November of 2021, I believe the day before Thanksgiving. My son was with me. I may have told him that it was only a 45-minute drive. Ended up probably being close to, who knows, hour and a half one way. It's near Kiowa, which is right smack dab in the middle of the southern border. The picture has lots of things in it. I think maybe it might be cheesy to say sort of nostalgia. Anything that's sort of old and rusted, I think I just kind of have a magnet in my camera that goes toward those things. But I just kind of like the photo just by itself. I kind of could pluck it out of this project and keep it in my portfolio. It's sort of a photo that I like sort of independent of this border project. I would say this photo is the most mentally taxing. It just took a lot of determination to get to Northwest Kansas. And then right as I got there, I could see the corner. I got stuck in some mud and that just wiped me out. Took this photo, took a couple of photos, and headed straight back. Was on the road 14, 15 hours that day. If you zoom in, you can see a cattle pen fence that's surrounding what's called Chaffee's Marker. It's 621.7 feet south of the actual border. It was put there in 1863. I think it was proposed as the original northwest border of Kansas. But yeah, a lot of memories making this trip. I like that you can see Colorado on the right and then Kansas on the left. Of course, Nebraska was just over my left shoulder. Finally, the southwestern corner of Kansas. This road we're looking down is known as 8 Mile Road. That's Oklahoma, Kansas, and Colorado all coming together. I love the distinctive sculpture windmill, it looks like. They took the top off of and put Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma signs on. Anyway, it's not often that you have something awaiting you when you get to one of these locations. I think I'd like to go back, to be honest. I like the lighting a great deal in this photo, but the development was kind of a nightmare. I had really bad marks, and I've had to really work it in Photoshop to get rid of those marks. In fact, it took me getting a new computer, oh gosh, over a year and a half after this was taken, that had the power to be able to make adjustments on a high resolution file. So anyway, that's my top 10 very sort of informal favorites from my Kansas Border Project.